up, everybody? Yo, it's your main man, juggernaut of multi-platinum production crew, Arkatech Beatz.
Arkatech Beatz.
Shout out to my partner, Mike Trauma D, and you are here at the live music production and beat making tutorials live stream. We get together every night, and what we do is we build tracks. All right, we build tracks, we build beats, and we answer questions about the music business. We answer everybody's questions about the music business. Sometimes we get into social media marketing. Sometimes we get into e-commerce. Sometimes we get into a lot of personal development things. It all varies. It depends on what the chat is on tonight. So, you know, if it's your first time here, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribing. Make sure that you're hitting that notification bell so that you can be ready for when everything jumps on. Shout out to my folks, my loyal folks that be on with me every night, watching me try to cook up on this thing. Peace. Cass, peace, born ready. How are y'all? Let's go. So I got a 4-bar loop in here. It's a little bit of a different vibe. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. It's a little faster than that, but and what we're gonna do, man, we're gonna build this beat, man, from the ground up. Yeah, 88 tempo, you know what I mean? So if everybody knows how I typically start my joints, I start my joints with my hi-hats. 16 level at. Let's lay that down. Let's go. Like to add tambourines and stuff. Let's go. Got a different vibe here, right? Get an open hat in here. Get the open hat down. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Listen, man, if it's your first time here, man, I am Juggernaut of multi-platinum production team Arkatech Beatz. Big Pun, Nas, Prodigy of Marv D, Freddie Gibbs, Max B, Jada Kiss the Game, Meek Mill, Waka Flocka, Killer Mike, you name it, we've done it. Tonight we're gonna do a different vibe. Get the snare down. Let's go. Yo, what up? Sometimes I just be going with the vibe, you know what I mean? realize, not that people are new, is that people don't really respect the Arkatech. Faster that people realize that what you do isn't for everybody, then you understand that it's freedom. Boom bap vibes, right? Let's go. Shout out to everybody that's in the live, man. Shout out to everybody that's liking the live. Shout out to everybody that is sharing the live. Roses, appreciate y'all. We just cooking up, man. So late on the Tuesday night. do a mute group on this one. So we're gonna make this turn off D5 and D6. Do I ever use the regions option to chop the samples? Yes, when I go into sample edit, then I'll go into that and when I want to chop something. Haven't been doing a lot of chopping lately, right, Rob? Like I haven't been doing a lot of it. And I think it's because it's like we used to chop a lot of samples because we had to try to see if we can manipulate it for clearance, right? So that we didn't have to clear it, right? That's a technique that we're not supposed to be telling people about, that you would chop your samples to hide them. But when you don't have that issue with royalty free, it's like you don't have to do that. And only time I would need to chop it is if it's not falling where I want it to fall, or if I needed to manipulate it to get it to fall on the grid where I want it to. So it's like if I'm choosing the right samples and it's giving me 4 and 8 and 16 and 24 bars, it's like, like I really don't need to chop it like that, right? And don't get me wrong, I probably could have taken this sample, the long sample, I could have run it through the regions, and I could have just set where I wanted it to be chopped at, and then just save that to a new drum track. That probably would have been easier. Now, when you say it that way, that probably would have been easier. But for whatever reason, we're here. So we're going to make it do what it do. You hear that little artifact at the end? I'm going to try to get that out. Sample be doing all kind of weirdness. See if I can get it louder. So I got 3 parts of the sample here, right? Yeah, you can fade the ends. You just have to go into the, if I go into the program edit, and if I go into the amplify, if you notice what it has here, it has an envelope. I can make it decay, and then create a, create a fade with that on the individual sound. So. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Charmin, what up? Rob Mully, what up? AJ Robertson, what up, man? Born Ready, what's up? Kaz, I see you, what's up? Indian or nothing, what up? Rockosaurus, what up? time is giving you hell. Oh my God. Oh my God, B. It's kicking my ass, man. I ain't gonna hold you. It's kicking my ass. Cause like, yo, even I had a call with my attorney today, and he was like, "Yo, Jug, you sending me emails at 4:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning." I'm like, "Yo, it's the time where the whole house is asleep." You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I gotta, when the house is asleep, I'm working. You know what I mean? Because when them kids is up. You know what I mean? You gotta tend to the kids, man. You know what I'm saying? Them kids is, 10 to 8 years old. You know what I mean? So, and I really like to be hands on with my kids, and and really just be rocking with my kids, man. You know what I'm saying? It's something that, it's a blessing to be able to have that option. You know what I'm saying? So I take advantage of that. So, whatever they want to do during the day, summertime. Hey, let's go. Y'all ride your bike. Y'all want to go here. Y'all want to go park. Let's go. You want to go pool. Let's go. You know what I mean? We just do it. Yeah. And not for nothing, I'm still tired from that New York trip. That New York trip was tough, bro. I ain't gonna hold you, man. Like, it was tough. Like, you figure we caught a red eye on Friday. It was a red eye. Like, what time we went? What time we cut out of here, man? Wind up leaving there like 2 a.m. or something like that, man, to get to the airport for like 3:00, and then go through everything, get into the airline at 4:00, and then get on the flight at 6:00, and then in New York by 9:00, and then by Times Square. You know what I mean? So it was just crazy. And then we was up all night Friday, had an event on Saturday, up all night, and then then by like 1:00, 2:00 Sunday morning, back to the airport. So it's like, it was just like, it was nutty, man. It was crazy. So I'm like, I still feel like I'm trying to like, like I've been up for like a weekend, so I'm like still kind of off. So tonight I'm like, man, can I even get on tonight? I'm like, man, I'm like, nah, but I gotta show up for my people. So let's go. So if y'all notice, this sample got this thing that's kind of like, it feels like, it feels hip hop, but it feels R&B. And I kind of like that little, like, in between. Do I miss the towns, man? Not really, man. I think the issue with me in New York, man, is just, one is way too many police. That's for me, if I'm being honest. I guess it's way too many police. Like, every corner, police, cameras, police, like, I guess people would say, hey, if you wasn't into criminal activity, you wouldn't feel no type of way, right? And then the no parking, man. Like, no parking. Like, come on, bro. Like no parking, like, you know what I mean? Everywhere you go, there's no parking, man, Like, there's no parking. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, no parking. I go by my peoples. No parking. Yeah, like all that police, man, it's just too much, man. It's like a low grade stress. Yeah, this would be a good collaboration with a hip hop R&B singer. Yeah, I'm not really worried about nothing, Rich. You know what I mean? I'm at an age where I'm like, I'm not into too much excitement anymore. You know what I'm saying? Back in the days, now I'll be out in them streets, but right now, I'm low key now, bro. I'm not even in that type of time right now. Yeah, when I lived there was no parking. But remember back then, well, I had a car early though. I had a car when I was 16. So I got a car. I got into a car fast. Let me think about that. Yeah, it really wasn't no parking, man. Like now I think about it, really wasn't no parking back then either. But especially when you go out at night and then you trying to come home and you tired, ain't no parking. I'm like ain't no parking. I mean, and my peoples and sisters that I stay by them, I'm like, yo, I want to tell her, they're like, nah, you gotta stay by us. The kids gotta stay. I'm like, oh. It's like, damn. Like I'm gonna go to the hotel. I can go, park and go sleep. You know what I I think the illest part was having to pay the toll to go into Times Square. It's ridiculous, man. Who watched the BET Awards, man? Ready, I see you, man. Yo, Rich Harmon, I don't even know. They cleaned it up. Took out the ratchet elements, right? Made people dress up for a black tie this time, huh? See how that worked? Clean in the on the BET Awards this year, man. Looked like people were dressed up, man. I think people were dressed up, looking nice, Everybody trying to be on Kai Cenat's stream. Yeah, that low pass is ill. Listen, man, I told y'all. I said, listen, the next wave of artists gonna be them content creators, streamers. I was telling people, I'm like, that's gonna be your next set of artists. You know what I'm saying? Like, once they can find the right streamer that has the right amount of talent in terms of musical talent, shout out to Black Boy Max, a few other guys. You know what I mean? Like, you got a DDG. If you got a few of them that's really exceptional, then you're going to see something that you've never seen before, But in the meantime, I'm catching a hell of a lot of flack for my AI posts. People's mad that I agree with Timbaland. Listen, I feel for these folks, man, who don't think that streamers are celebrities. Listen, that's part of that's part of the problem that we have is the old guard don't want to relinquish to the new guard. And look, a guy like Kai Cenat is a special type of streamer. I think that when you look at a person like Kai Cenat, I don't think that people should. You can't deny his star power. Like, that's the reality of it. It's like he has star power, even though you might say, "Oh, he's just a streamer." Nah. That boy is a little bit different in terms of his entertainment value, and definitely the way that he knows how to manage himself on and off screen. You know what I'm saying? It takes a certain level of awareness, and it takes a certain level of talent and quick thinking. You know, he's on a different level, and I don't think that people are really trying to give him props for that. But I challenge you. I challenge anybody to be on this live stream in front of tens of thousands of people and to hold people's attention for hours and hours on end. That's not something that's easy to do. It's not easy to do, you know. And like, you know, when I'm in this stream and I see, you know, a handful of heads and then a handful of heads come in, a handful of heads come out, pause. It's like, yo, you know, like, what can you do to spice it up, Jug? You got to do something to spice it up to get people really interested in what you're doing. Listen, it's really a skill, man. Listen, and look, and the reality of the situation is that the celebrities going to streamers, and the celebrities going to streamers, they what they don't realize is that those audiences don't cross-pollinate. Like, those audiences don't really mix. The only audience that might mix for any of them, it might be a Kevin Hart at the very most. But most of those audiences don't mix. You know that, and I know that. You could put Tom Cruise on the stream, it ain't gonna help. You know what I'm saying? That's not the audience for that. It don't work. Yo, I seen that. They say, yo, Kai bumped into Wale, and he didn't know who Wale was. And then when I thought about it, and I said, okay, when was what was the year of the Wale MMG Meek Mill movement? Is that like 15 years ago now? Like, somebody correct me in the chat if I'm tripping. Yo, and if it's 2010, right? If it's 2010, 2012, I'm sorry, Rockosaurus, man. I meant to get it a little closer today. I didn't get a chance to get to it. Oh, but you know what though? I'm gonna probably again switch to the software. So then the software will be on the screen, like the MPC software will be on the screen. So then that'll take away having to worry about looking at the small screen. I'll be using the software now. So, you know, we're going to get to it. Yeah, it's like, I don't really think that, and listen, and Wale has some joints. You know what I mean? But he just don't know who he is, man. Like, you know, and you have to think about Wale music. Wale music wouldn't be for a younger audience either. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what Wale would like at this point, man. You know what I'm saying? man, I don't think you guys kind of like you guys really understood the time when it was Meek, Wale, and Ross, and y'all forgot the fourth guy was Pill, right? Pill he was doing this thing in Atlanta for whatever reason. It didn't really work out with MMG, and then Meek Mill was just on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like he was on fire, on fire, on fire. And not to take anything away from where Wale's music was, it was just that the people wanted more Meek Mill at the time. And, I think that's what really started a lot of the dissension. And although his music has always been good, I just think that he wants more of that recognition. And, you can't force people to like you, man. It is what it is. Goldie said he got a question. What's the question, bro? And what I realize is this, man. If people don't really like you as a person, if people like your music but don't like your personality, stay off socials and stay off media. You know what I'm saying? Be an enigma. Come to my shows, make them real personal, and that's it. Let's say you have Currency and Gibbs in the studio. What synth VSC would I use? And I wouldn't use no synth VSC. I'd be going straight to my sample library. I'm going straight to my sample library. And look, man. If you want to cook up in front of guys, that's a risk that you take. Truth be told, you're supposed to be going through your beats once a week, and you're supposed to be putting them into folders and categorize them for beat packs. You're supposed to be like, yo, this pack is for such and such, this pack is for this and such. And if you ever come across a situation where you just happen to be in a studio, you're supposed to have your joints kind of categorized. Well, I got these joints like this. All right, I can play these, and I know what I'm going to play. You're supposed to be going into your bag first before you be trying to cook up. I ain't going to hold you. Now, if you ain't got no beats and you got to cook up on the spot, good luck. Yeah, you're supposed to have some beats on deck, bro. If you know you're going to be in the studio with those guys, you got to have beats on deck, bro. You got to have some. And the thing about Gibbs got range, right? So, Gibbs could rap on damn near anything, damn near with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, Gibbs is very special. He can go from real down south flows, or Gary, Indiana type flows, and he can sound like he from up north. He can sound like like he different. So you got to just make sure that you got a wide range of stuff, because it depends on how that guy feel. Sometimes he like live instrumentation. Sometimes he like sample heavy stuff. You got to kind of figure out what it's going to be, right? Same thing with Currency. Currency is the same way. Even though he's a cat from Louisiana, he never really rapped that way. You know what I mean? Like, that's what made him special. He kind of had a standout kind of vibe, because even though he was from there, he don't really sound like that. You know what I'm saying? And the music that he picks. So hopefully you got some stuff in the chamber, bro. Don't miss the opportunity. How the Eminem song go? You better lose yourself. Yeah, man, you gotta definitely, man, put your stuff together, man. I think every time you go to a studio, you gotta have a folder that got your 10 bangers that go across the board. Tight records are tight records, but at the same time, you have to be aware of who you're playing what for. because, what might work for Jadakiss ain't gonna work for Nas, or what might work for Nas might not work for Killer Mike. You just gotta know, you gotta know your artist. Yeah, man. Like if you go into any of our folders, we try to segment our joints into 10 packs, and we kind of, we have these tiers of artists. There are some artists that can be categorized kind of in the same vein. This is a drum kit that I've curated, but we do have some other drum kits that we have curated on ArkatechBeatz.com. We gotta put a lot of work in, man. Cardiac is this thing. That be prepared for those artists that be like skip, right? I don't like that. Listen, that's the worst feeling ever, man. When they be like, they don't be responding. And you be thinking that's the hottest joint since sliced bread. You be over there bouncing your head, trying to get everybody into it. And the artist just be like, next one. I'm from the Bronx. Yeah, I remember one specific time. Where we were having a musical disagreement within our camp. This is outside of Mike and myself. We were having a musical disagreement, and because what we used to do is we used to get together, a group of us, and we used to play a bunch of music together, and then Mike and I would be like, oh, that stays, that doesn't go, that stays, that doesn't go. So there was one particular time where Heads was like, yo, how y'all know what the artist's gonna like? He was like, okay, let's put together the joints that you want to put together. Put them together. And then we shot downtown to Razor Sharp Studios. If y'all remember about that Wu-Tang studio, 36 Chambers down there, Razor Sharp joint. They used to have a joint in the 30s, in the fashion district. Went down there, met up with Raekwon, started playing those joints. All right, so me and Mike was like, okay, we're gonna play y'all joints. We're gonna let y'all see how it feel. You know what I mean? And then, your man just started saying next, skip, until he skipped all those beats. And when you say humbling, that was the humbling experience right there. You know what I mean? So it's like once you kind of understand, once your ear gets trained and you understand, you're going to have to really deliver, especially in real time. And look, a lot of guys have never been in a room where it's Heat Makers, Alchemist, Just Blaze. You're not playing beats behind everybody. You know what I'm saying? Sean C and them. You know what I'm saying? These are the guys that you would have to be competing against. Or at least we would have to be competing against. Because if you look at the albums that we're on, you know what I mean? Big Pun, we got Rockwilder, we got RZA, we got, all types of guys on this thing. Young Lord, they got all types of guys on these albums. You know what I'm saying? Top 5 that are alive. You got Swiss, you got Just Blaze. You got all types of people on these albums. So you're competing for those spots. So, when I say, listen, you got to have some tough material, especially when you're trying to get on these albums, you got to have the top-notch material, man. It's definitely important. And people need to train their ears, man. So that's part of these sessions, man. These sessions is kind of like, yo, why is he picking those samples? Why is he picking those type of drums? You know what I'm saying? it's for people to kind of get an idea of, what is that? Why are we choosing those sounds? People are asking me like, what's your drum sound? How you choosing that? Like all of those things, those are gonna help you guys to kind of choose your own sounds. And then as I start to build these kits, I'll start to share them in our Patreon, etc. And it's like, this is one of those things, man, where we have to have a starting point where you know where you're gonna go. Yo, Chad, I need a name for the beat, man. Endo, appreciate you. Yo, listen, listen, man, like, when these guys and you know this is the thing that used to kill me too when I think about it in retrospect. Like back in those days, once you burned your CD, that was it, right? Your CD was already set up. You couldn't change the sequence, right? So suppose you went to the joint and shout out to Arsonist from the Heatmakers. Suppose he plays something that's just crazy. You like, yo, like you can't even change the sequence of your CD. You went to which one to start with. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those type of things, man. Shout out to LES too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys, man, that we have to work against a lot of guys to get on these albums, man. Easy LP. Who else? Yeah, you like not play track 5 first. Usually, you know how it is. So those was those days, man. And I think that's part of the reason why you see a lot of the stuff that go on with music now. Why music just doesn't feel like it's elevating is because you don't have that pressure. It's like that was the pressure, man. The pressure to get good, man. Like that was the pressure, man. Like imagine. If you guys have the Jadakiss Top 5 Dead or Alive album, when Swiss had the first single, you know what I'm saying, and it was going crazy, man. I'm like, man. So then the record that we had to come with had to be just as hard. Like it had to be, because you have to be the second single. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to have something that's just as tough. So. Shout out to these guys. The first single for that album too, I think it was I forget the name of that first single, man. And then the second single was Neo and Nipsey Hussle. Ain't Nothing New. You know what I'm saying? Like, these records was crazy. What do I think about FL Studio? FL Studio is dope, man. Endo, I appreciate you for the gift, man. I appreciate y'all gifts, man. swell in there. A string swell or pad swell in there. First class trips. The beat buffet said artists need to start paying for beats again, so producers will compete. So then the music will get better. I agree. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that once people kind of stop paying for it, then people just really a lot of guys just say I'm not gonna work for that, and your best guys just kind of stepped away. I ain't gonna hold you. You got a lot of guys that just stepped away from it because it's just like, we're not working for that, So got a lot of us that did that. A lot of us stepped away from it because of that. Listen, that's all cap, man. Folks rapping and showing all the money and not paying producers. It's definitely cap. And then even listen, the YouTube type beats is fine. I think those are a necessary evil. It's just people have to. I saw something the other day online where someone was saying that BeatStars, Airbits, and other places that they need to have it so that beats can't be sold. Beats have to be sold. If beats are sold on their platform, it has to be sold at a particular price, a particular minimum price. It should never go below a certain price. And then if guys want to sell their beats at lower prices on their own website, they can do that. But for BeatStars and this thing, we should start looking to kind of unionize or stabilize the price of music on those platforms. I agree with that. I think those platforms should be helping to normalize certain fees. You gotta wait and see what happens though. I think we're gonna go with searching, man. Hero, you got it today. It's tired, man. I definitely can't start this late. My energy mad low. I can't start this late. I'm like, my energy feels low. Yeah, I've had to showcase the beats on the spot. We had the record, the Kids in the PJ record. We had to cook that up on the spot for Nas. Like, we did that on the spot. You know what I mean? So we just happened to have the sample, and then we wind up just, I laid the drums, and then Mike laid the bass line, and then shout out to my man Sean Anthony Baker. He jumped into the booth and he added some vocals onto that. You can hear it in the hook, and that was it. And then the Bravehearts jumped on that, and then Nas wrote his verses and stuff like that. But you gotta stay ready, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna hold you. It's opportunity meeting, preparation and opportunity, man. So you gotta stay ready. That's a part of this series. That's part of this series as you're watching us build, a large catalog of tracks. Also, you can imagine the pressure. Yeah, the pressure was high because if you think about it, like we bought in We had like a tape. We had like a tape. We had like a B CD of like 10 or 12, and he picked four. He picked four joints, so 4 out of 10, right? So we was pretty good. So he laid the first joint pretty fast. Then he did all of those records within like and like really like in a one session type thing. So he did the first record kind of on a freestyle off the top of his head. Then he did my worst. He did my worst enemy, and that was just incredible. You know what I'm saying? Um, then he did the Blackness record. They call it Seeds of Heaven. If you Google that or you do a YouTube, it's called Nas Blackness / Seeds of Heaven. Then he did that. So then he was kind of like, so he still had time. We were still in this. We were still in the studio, so we had time. He was like, "Y'all got anything else?" I was like, so then my bro, he said, "Yo, check the sample out that I had." He was digging out in the crib. He had a sample that he pulled up. So he pulled up that Chris Farrah sample with that flute. You know what I mean? So once we heard that, he was like, "Yo, what's that?" And we was like, "Yo, we got to make it work." Cause we just jumped on it and made it work. And then he just went in there. To all my kids in the PJs, ghetto children, you know it ain't easy. Sunshine turn to rain. I was like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy, man. My Nas experience is just, if I didn't do anything else in hip hop after that, that was enough. I ain't gonna hold you. Like that was enough for me. Like honestly, if I had to quit right there, I was good. Nah, I didn't make any beats for that. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at those records. When we did these records, this is late '90s. You know what I'm saying? This is pinnacle Nas, man. This is right after. This is like right before Hate Me Now type things. So yep, right before the I Am album, like right before. So this is like a great time to cause what came out first, I Am or did QB's Finest came out? I think did QB's Finest come out before that? Correct me if I'm wrong. Cause I do remember going to the album release party at I Am. It was in Cali. I went there with Ray and Power. It was the era of the firm. It was around about that. You know what I'm saying? Around about that. Like all of that stuff is around that time. These guys were getting a lot of budgets. Like if you notice what the game was back then was to get your artists on, and then you get the budgets. So he was getting a budget for Bravehearts. So I Am came first, right? So okay, so all of this stuff was recorded right before I Am came out. Let me make sure. I don't want to misspeak. I'm trying to feel like I remember that being it was a album release party. Was it? It had to be for I Am. It wasn't for Nostradamus. I think it was for I Am because it was in Cali, and I remember it being shut down, and I remember meeting one of my guys out there. Well, shout out to Ian Alexander. He's Regina King's ex-husband. Yeah, it's 99 then. It's 99. it would be 99 because that's when we were recording the Mobilarity. So we was out. That's when we was out in Cali. So it's definitely 99. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive, man. What a time to be alive. Man, listen, I'm young, man. I'm gonna make sure my AR avatar is 25 and stay 25. Yeah, like I said, I was getting so much flack from my post today, man. It was like, oh, you want them to exploit us? There you go. You want to exploit us on the AI? I don't want AI. I don't want AI to exploit anybody. I don't want it to exploit anybody, man. But I'm just saying, like you ain't gonna be able to stop it, So you better try to get in where you can get in, But some folks, the future is now. Shout out to Lewis. Listen, man. I'm sure y'all guys saw that pew pewing that took place with the YouTuber and his wife. Rest in peace to them. Listen, people gotta stop playing with this online stuff, man. People think that you can say whatever you want to say online, man, and there ain't no consequences, man. That's not real, So people gotta be careful of what they be saying out here. You know what I mean? Thinking they can say anything and don't realize that, people can catch up to you in a real way. Shout out to Aaron the plumber. It's crazy, you know what I mean? So, rest in peace to those folks, man. But it's unfortunate, man. Mental illness is at an all-time high. Okay? Mental illness is at an all-time high. Do I think that AI has the potential to shortcut artists and producers? Yeah, eventually it will. Eventually it will. DC, we're using the Akai MPCX SE. Because, Rob, think about it like this, right, Rob? If you have a Splice account, right? And think about Splice. Splice has tens of thousands of samples in this thing, right? And it has everything is indexed by tempo, genre, key, and all those other things to identify these records. At this point, all you need is an AI to randomize, putting things together by key or by tempo. Right? We got time stretch now, so now that doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? So once you have a library that's full of sounds, it's nothing. It's really nothing to mix and match, right? So so that kind of is what gets your production taken care of on a very basic and low level. And then the same thing with the with the lyrics, or the people who sing hooks and stuff like that. People who sing hooks in certain keys and genres and all that type of things. Like those things can be mixed in with beats at certain tempos. So that's how you can make songs. So it just depends on the library, But if you've ever used stuff like 11 Labs and those things that are able to replicate people's voices, it's like, sky's the limit right now. Sky is the limit, man. You just got to be willing to work. before I get out of here, I want to share something with you guys. I had a call earlier today with some of the copyright folks over at ASCAP. And ASCAP is our performance rights organization that we use to collect our performance right royalties, our performance royalties rather. And we were going through some things where we had a discrepancy with something on our catalog. And what I want people to start doing is making sure that you're checking your catalog at least twice a year. And the reason why you want to check your catalog twice a year is because I learned today that, of course, anybody can submit a new registration for your song. And in some cases, the new registration can supersede the old one if it comes in as a duplicate. And sometimes that one can wind up being accepted over the previous one. And there really isn't any rhyme or reason to it. They say it's basically could be system errors, or it can be by people who are working there. But your registrations can change. And then we had a situation where a registration was submitted after our registration, and then we were removed off of a record, and we weren't notified. So we're like we're in a thing where we had to kind of get that rectified, and now we have to basically we got to fight to get the retroactive, because it only is retroactive for up to a year. So these are things that people have to pay attention to. All right. Remember, what happens is that people can register records and they don't need anything to substantiate the registration, so they don't have to submit a split sheet or things like that. But if you have a discrepancy after the fact, you need to have that. So it's really based on a first come, first serve pause. And you have to kind of make sure that you're really paying attention to your catalog, making sure that you don't have any errors. They said another record that we had another error where our publishing company was listed twice, where it was showing that we were collecting a portion, and then on our same publishing company we weren't collecting anything. So it's something that you have to go through. In our case, we have over 500 registrations, so it can become a little bit tedious, but it's something that I want people to pay attention to. Not just registering your songs, but making sure that you're paying attention actively to your catalog. Also, pay attention to your royalty statements. If you see, at some point in your career, if you have records that come out, you have a situation where your royalty statements will be at a certain level. It kind of levels off. So you ought to kind of pay attention to if there's any like say you're used to getting $1,000 and then all of a sudden it's like at 600. You want to pay attention to that. Roddy's asking if I'm the one who made Why You Do That by Max B. Yes, we are the group that did that. Arkatech Beatz. We are the ones that did that. Yes, sir. You're in the right place. Shout out to Max B. He'll be home soon, November 9th. Yeah, definitely, Rich Harmon. Definitely check your check your catalog, man. And and the funny thing, he was he was very helpful. The person that we had a live call, and I had another person that helped to really get that record in order. And he even said that he would be open to coming into a live forum, and having a panel and really discussing registration and the process behind ASCAP and those things. So that's something that I'll probably put together for the podcast for the folks on the Patreon, is to have those folks in those type of roles to come through and work on that. And then I also have somebody else over in the royalty department over there, like UMG in the royalty department over there, someplace again at Sony. Like you have to have these conversations, and because I'm having these conversations with people that are really doing the job, people who are really collecting the master royalties, people who are really, their job is to pay out on the royalty statements, who can explain these things, because you'll get your royalty statement and you'll look at this thing and you'll be like, this looks like a total different language. And, like for me, myself, I go through it with a fine tooth comb, and then I use my AI, GPTs to kind of, make sure that there's any discrepancies, and then to kind of point those things out for me, and then any errors, and then go back and look at them a little bit tighter. So it's the stuff that you have to make sure that you're paying attention to. What's going on? Shout out to everybody that's in the live, man. Shout out to everybody that liked the live, shared the live, sent gifts, roses, diamonds, whatever. I appreciate y'all. But like we were saying, man, I want people to make sure that they're sample here, brother. I'm just really scratching the surface. Honestly, if I'm being 100% transparent, I'm exhausted. I ain't gonna hold you. It's like I'm exhausted. I'm dead tired. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to make sure that I'm answering the questions for the folks, and I'm really just trying to go through really what happened today with me. Like I just had a whole bunch of calls and really was just talking to different folks in different places, and it's crazy. Like when you this music business, man. And I know I put a post out here about this before. Yo, when I tell you that the primary thing that people are fighting against, if you're an artist, musician, or producer, you're fighting against time. And you say, what do you mean? If something is wrong, you got a limited window to fix it. Because if you don't get it fixed within a certain time, them folks is basically going to be like, oh, well, So like if you don't get your letter of direction signed for the sound exchange and stuff like that in certain times, after 3 years, you're not getting that money. Like for real. All they're gonna do is they're gonna say, hey, it's past the 3 years, you can't get it. If you don't have all of your signatures and everything signed up for when you're supposed to be collecting royalties for a record that might be going, like say you got a record that goes gold or platinum, and that artist might have recouped, and you try to get some massive recording royalties. If you not, if you don't open up your vendor portal, and if you don't start looking at the statements, if you don't start asking questions, you'll lose the right to audit. There's a certain time frame, man. And once you lose the right to audit, those folks will burn those files. And you'll be asking for records that they'll never give you. Okay? And then they'll just be, and what they'll do, and this is a true story, is that they'll start just assigning arbitrary money to your account. Like, yeah, here goes, you can have that. You know what I mean? And they'll just put it as uncategorized. They won't even give you they won't even break it down and tell you where it's from or nothing like that, because they're not trying to tell you. Because now that you've exceeded the audit window, they can put whatever they want to put in your account. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have the right to audit, so you don't even know what's really going on. So this is the game that's being played, man. So I want people to be very, very, very meticulous when it comes to their contracts, when it comes to their paperwork. Yo, you know, if you get a major placement with a major artist, yo, get your contract signed. Get your contract signed. Get your vendor account set up as soon as possible. If you move, make sure your addresses are updated, because bad addresses will kick your ass too. Make sure your addresses get updated. Make sure you're checking in your portals. Make sure you're looking at your statements. Don't just get your statements and just discard them. Get your statements and run those joints through artificial intelligence. If you're not able to, if you're not able to understand them, run it through ChatGPT. Ask it to summarize it and ask it to look for discrepancies. And then start asking it to explain it to you so that you can understand it in your own layman terms. Like these are things that you have to be on top of. Zay, what up? So I don't want anybody to really look at this and be like, yo, what are you talking about again? Listen, man, this joint is designed to be convoluted. It's designed to waste your time. And it's designed to make sure that it wastes just enough time so that they're not held liable for what they may or may not owe you. So you definitely want to be on top of your business. JP, what up? Look, and they want you to quit, man, but it's tens of thousands of dollars. Zay, what's the question you got? It's tens of thousands of dollars, man. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, man. Like, yo, I can't. Listen, I can't even begin to explain, man. I'm trying to keep things nice. You said it sounded completely different. I'm not sure what could have happened. Make sure that you don't have it. Make sure that it's not like being tuned down or maybe filtered. You have to make sure that you're loading it into a pad that doesn't have anything in it. It says I'm having a problem with my Apogee interface connected with my mic. It might be your computer and your drivers. Yeah, Randy, make sure when you load in sounds into your MPC that you're loading it into a bank that doesn't have anything assigned to it. Because what happens is if I change the parameters here, because I can change the parameters of this bank before I actually assign a sound. So I can go into it. There's no sound assigned here, but I can change the key. I can change different parameters. And then when you load a sample in it, it's going to be there. Yep. Yeah, in terms of your Apogee interface, I'm not sure if it could be your computer drivers, or it could be drivers for the interface itself. So you have to make sure that your interface has all of the software that's necessary for it, because sometimes that can impede it from working. Because some interfaces have external software. Some of them don't. Some of them are not all like plug and play. Yeah, you have a few that are plug and play. You just plug them in and it's good. But other ones, you're gonna have to download their software. You know, make sure that everything is routed the right way, and make sure your sound card and stuff like that is compatible, depending on the age of your computer. But folks, definitely make sure you're paying attention to your registration. For those who are not familiar with song registration, we do have the free ebook on our website. It's called The Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration. That is free. You know, that is free. So I would tell folks to go look at that. It's at arkatechbeatz.com. It's called The Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration. It's an overview of what you need to do to register your songs. Again, it's at arkatechbeatz.com. It's as the website is on the screen. I wish I could get into gaming, you know. Yeah, I definitely want people to be versed in that. And as soon as you get those books, if you need to learn more stuff about music publishing, we have the Musician's Guide to Music Publishing. They also the Musician's Guide to Music Copyrights, and the Ultimate Guide to Forming Your Own Music LLC. You know, you need those things, and also the Songwriter's Guide to song splits, split sheets, and so. I'd like to thank everybody that jumped on the live with me tonight. As usual, we'll be back tomorrow night. I want to tell everybody thank you. Lewis asked if I recommend posting beats on SoundCloud. I recommend posting beats any place where it can be discovered. Have you ever figured out why artists don't like talking about split sheets? Artists don't like talking about, if I'm being frank, if you're talking about split sheets during the session, it's premature. And that's why people don't like talking about it. You don't know if this song is going to come out. So, say for example, we just recorded a hot one and everybody's talking about the splits right now. We just recorded it. We don't know if it's coming out. We don't know if it's coming out. So you kind of got to read the room. You know, you got to read the room. What you do want to do is you do want to get everybody's information. What you do want to do is you want to take the notes of yourself, the notes for yourself, and your own documentation for yourself. Send that documentation to yourself, you know, so that you know who did what, right? And then, of course, when the question comes back around to like, okay, we're getting ready to drop it, you know, then we need your information. Then we can start talking about it, because now they're committed to the record. If you talk about that prior to them being committed to the record, folks get turned off. And you have to remember, when you're dealing with the artist is letting you, the artist is letting you participate in their publishing. Because remember, it's their publishing. If they're the ones that have a deal, they're the ones that have something that they have the ability for that to come out to the commercial, to the consumer. So if it's not an independent release where, you know, anybody can control it, if it's a release where where it's budgeted and that type of thing. They're sharing their publishing with you. So, you're trying to be real political about it and not to really ruffle feathers. So I always suggest everybody read your room, pay attention to what's going on, pay attention to like when you say certain things, how people react and respond to you. Don't talk yourself out of the room. So the 200% gets split like this. You got 100% that goes, 100% that goes to the writers and composers, right? Which the composers would be the people who did the music, the writers would be the people who wrote the lyrics, and then you have the other 100% that goes between the publishers for the writers and the publishers for the composers. So basically, it's like this: I have 50%. I have a 50% writer share, and then I have a 50% publishing share for my publishing company. And then if I do a song with you, you got 50%, and you got a 50% for your publishing company. That's how they get that 200%. But honestly, they don't do that anymore. They do it as just 100%. It got too complex. That's the old school way, 200% type thing. Now they just do 25, 25, 25, 25. Make it 100%. That 200% had people tripping. You heard? like wait, the publisher side has to equal 100. Meaning if there's a writer, if there's a producer and an artist, he had 50%, I had 50%. That's the easier way to break it down. Or break it down to 25, 25, 25, 25. You know what I mean? 50% on the writing and another 50% on the publishing to make a total 100%. Yeah, but I think it's very important for people to learn to read the room, man. Like, read the room. That's something that I be fighting with my kids right now. Like, yo, read the room. What you mean, read the room? Listen, read the room. Are these people, are they loud? Are they subdued? Like, what's happening? It's trying to teach them awareness and trying to let them understand, when is the perfect opportunity to network? When is it the time to talk? When is it the time to be quiet? When is it time to listen? You gotta figure those things out. I remember you're dealing with, I hate to say it, but you're dealing with a bunch of narcissists. like, you you're dealing with narcissists, man. You're dealing with people who have, humongous egos, who are grandiose. It's very difficult to be an artist. To be an artist, you have to have that kind of self-inflated ego to put yourself in front of people night in and night out. So you have to know when to kind of cater to that. Well, Indian or nothing. They say they try to send you a work for hire right before the album is released. So the science behind them sending you a work for hire, remember what's happening is the work for hire. They give you the work for hire documents and stuff like that. Because if you get a producer agreement, that's going to be a work for hire, and what you're doing is you're basically selling your rights for a royalty. Right? So that's really what's happening for a lot of us. We sell our rights to get royalties. And what happened is they want to work for hire so that they can basically exploit the record any way that they choose without having to come back to you for permission. So it's just label stuff, man. We have to make the decision like how we want our music to be used. It's 2025, man. We should be looking to try to license music at this point at 2025, but not a lot of artists want to go for that. So it's something that you have to kind of fight for. But remember, if they're not like totally on the hook for your record, you could be putting yourself in a situation where someone will just walk away from your record. I had a situation where, guy, did our record, gave us the contract. We tried to negotiate the contract. They was like, nah, we don't want to change anything. Let's take it or leave it. You could take it or we'll pass on the record. And then what they'll do, and this is how this is how dirty the game is. They say take it or leave it. I'm like, nah, we're gonna leave it. Okay. Then they leak your record. But then nobody else can take it. You know what I'm saying? So, you gotta figure out how you want to play these games, man. You gotta figure out how you want to play these games. You want to figure it out. But this type of stuff happens.